And I'd like to welcome in now Shakur Stevenson to the show. And for people who don't know, I'm involved in boxing now for I don't know how many years. And if someone asked me who's the best bet to be the next pound for pound number one guy when given the chance, I'd put my money on Shakur. Shakur has more to lose. Yeah. He's the undefeated fighter. He's seen as the eventual pound for pound champ potentially. Yes. But Teo has more to win. He has more to gain. Mm-hmm. So on the one hand, is there an advantage there where Shakur is fighting to protect that perfect record, to protect that kind of sense that he's the next guy? On the other hand, Teo is like he can fight with more abandon against Shakur because there's so much for him to gain. And if he loses, he's lost before. He's lost to Kambosos, and he came back from that.
The opposite of what they expect you to do. So for me, I try to do the unexpected. I try to make sure if you go out there expecting me to move and run around the ring, I want to give you the opposite. So it was a strategic game plan.
Shakur Stevenson tells Max Kellerman that when the bell starts, there is no space for being friendly. He says respect can stay outside the ring, but inside it turns into a battle for control. Shakur feels Teofimo Lopez is strong and confident, which makes taking him lightly a bad idea. To succeed, he knows he must use his skills, set the rhythm, and break his opponent mentally. He also explains that staying alert, disciplined, and focused until the last bell is the key to winning.
I won't be one of them fighters.
I see. You're not saying you don't respect your opponent's fight game. You're saying you're not there to make friends. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm not here to make friends. At the end of the day, my life on the line, his life on the line. We got families to feed, and I take this very serious. So at the end of the day, I can't go in there, touch gloves, and be happy and be friendly with someone.
Max Kellerman says a real super fight cannot be created just by promotion. It comes naturally when a generation fades and only two top fighters are left. He puts Crawford and Canelo in that group as fighters who define their time. Kellerman feels this fight has the same importance because it may represent the end of an era. Teofimo Lopez could end up as the final man standing, or Shakur Stevenson could rise as the fighter who defines this moment.
Broadcast for Crawford and Canelo can't be promoted into existence. Right. What a real super fight is, the dust settles in an era, and there are two dudes left standing. There's Ali, there's Frazier, there's Leonard, there's Hagler, there's Mayweather, there's Pacquiao. That's a super fight, right? There's Crawford, there's Canelo. Those are two big fighters of the era. This type of fight, this could easily be at the end of an era because Teo might be a dude left standing and Shakur could be the dude left standing, right? I agree. But
Shakur Stevenson says he never fights the way people expect him to. When fans and opponents think they understand his style, he purposely changes it. If they believe he will box safely, he turns more aggressive. If they get ready for pressure, he slows everything down and controls the space. Shakur feels being unpredictable is one of his strongest weapons in the ring. By doing the opposite of what others expect, he makes opponents think, pause, and slip up. This skill of adjusting keeps him ahead and sets him apart from many other fighters.
Expect you to do one thing, and sometimes you want to give a fighter the opposite of what they expect you to do. So for me, I try to do the unexpected. I try to make sure if you go out there expecting me to move and run around the ring, I want to give you the opposite. So it was a strategic game plan too.
Did he have any pop at all?
You know, it's crazy. A lot of people say that he don't. But like, if somebody hit you in the same spot 500,000 times over and over, I don't give a fuck who it is. It's like boom, 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 over and over. You're gonna feel that spot. So he's one of them guys. Like, he's gonna constantly hit you over, and that's why his knockout percentage is a good knockout percentage.
Would you say you were? Look, you obviously barely ever get hit in a fight, but because you were in a pocket, you got hit more than you normally get hit, right? In that fight. Did your body feel different after the fight?
Hell yeah. Like, I never left the ring feeling like...
Max Kellerman analyzes the fight by reminding everyone how often Teofimo Lopez has been questioned. He says much of the boxing world picked Josh Taylor to win, yet Teofimo controlled that fight. Kellerman also brings up the victory over Lomachenko and points to the urgency and strong pace Teofimo showed in the final round to lock in the win. When discussing the loss to George Kambosos, he explains that Teofimo was dealing with a serious medical problem that impacted his showing. He believes one bad night should not take away from Lopez's proven skill and his ability to perform when the pressure is highest.
Taylor fight, but everyone was picking Josh Taylor that you spoke to in boxing.
Yeah.
And we saw what Teo did to Josh Taylor. We saw what Teo did to Lomachenko. And one of the things that I think that gets lost in that fight against Lomachenko is Teo threw more than 100 punches in the final round to make sure he won that fight.
Yeah, no question. Even in the loss that he had against Kambosos, where he had a puncture, like he had some medical condition in his esophagus that like was dangerous actually, and it looked like an off night. By the way, George Kambosos doesn't like when I say this, and I apologize. I understand it feels unfair to you, and maybe it is unfair, but this is my honest opinion. It may be, but it is still my honest opinion, Malik. I just have to be honest with the way I see it. I don't think that was the best version of Teo by a long shot. But even then, he was rallying in that fight late. He has championship heart. And the thing I like about Teo's style, I mean, when you have a guy like Shakur whose defense is that good, and he's not just the guy who's going to hug you. He can.
Shakur Stevenson explains that sparring with Terrence Crawford had a huge impact on his growth as a fighter. He says being in the ring with someone as smart and versatile as Crawford forced him to sharpen every part of his game. The speed, the timing, and the non-stop adjustments pushed Shakur out of his comfort zone. Crawford's ability to change styles and read opponents helped Shakur understand boxing on a higher level. Shakur says those sessions changed how he thinks during fights, making him calmer, smarter, and more complete. Bernie the boxer gives his view on why Shakur stands out against Teofimo Lopez. He says Shakur cannot be overlooked or controlled like others. While fighters such as Jermaine Ortiz moved a lot against Lopez, Shakur never allowed that kind of freedom. Bernie feels the Los Santos gained hype, but was never a real threat since he did not hurt or shake Shakur and had limited tools. He points out that Shakur's style and calm mindset make him hard to challenge and highlights his intelligence and ability to adjust. Bernie suggests fighters like the Los Santos are better suited for other matchups, such as Abdullah Mason first title defense, instead of facing Shakur. In the end, Bernie stresses Shakur's edge in strategy. He praises Shakur's skill to shut opponents down, stay safe, and stay in control. Against Lopez, Bernie believe Shakur composure and ring awareness are the key reasons he is one of the toughest young champions in boxing.
He couldn't beat a one-handed guy. And if you go back and watch that fight, like I'm saying, Shakur wasn't just running. Jermaine Ortiz really moved a lot on Teo. That never happened with Shakur Stevenson and fighting this guy. That never happened. De Los Santos is De Los Santos. He got a reputation off of that. That boosted his reputation. I don't know why. He didn't do nothing to Shakur. He didn't wobble him, didn't hurt him, didn't do nothing. You know what I mean? And the man was one-handed. So, but shout out to De Los Santos. Like I say, I think he's more risk than reward. Actually, that'll be a great fight for Abdullah Mason in his first title defense. That'll be a great fight for him in his title defense. That'll be a good. They should use him for that
instead of Joe Cordina.
Yeah. Joe Cordina was rough too, though. I watched him against the kid from Fresno. What's the kid's name? I forget his name. They was pushing him, but he just ain't there. He took a lot of punishment. He probably need to go get a job. Gabriel Flores. Gabe Flores. Yeah. Gabe Flores.
From Vegas,
yeah. He from Fresno. Or he from Sacramento. He from the Bay Area.
He just be training. Yeah, he be training.
Yeah. So I would say I would say that, you know what I mean? Because Abdullah Mason is the guy. I think he got a lot of potential. And like I said, him fighting a guy like De Los Santos is almost like a Bud fighting Gamboa in his first title defense. You know what I mean? So that would be a great fight for Abdullah Mason. You know what I mean? And he's more known than Joe Cordina. You know what I mean? And given the controversy that he's been in, you know what I'm saying? The way he's perceived as kind of feared. That'll be a great fight for Abdullah Mason.
Damn, my boy Bernie said that's like Gamboa versus Crawford for his first title defense. That shit is fire.
Yeah.
I like it. Carlos Vargas, thank you for the donation. Shout out from the Bay. Who you guys got, Shakur or Shakur Stevenson? How does this play out?
I don't know, man. Like I'm saying, I don't know. I don't know how it play out. I'm just want to see the fight.
So you think it's a 50-50? Shakur and Teo?
Everything is a 50-50. Well, I would say 60, but I'm leaning towards Shakur for sure. I'm leaning for Shakur. I'm rooting for Shakur.
So you think it's going to be a close fight?
Well, I don't know about how close. I don't know. I think it's going to be a competitive fight. Let me say that. I think it's going to be a competitive fight.
Shakur Stevenson says that going after greatness means taking on anyone who stands in the way. He explains that facing Teofimo Lopez is not about personal issues, but about what must be done. Shakur believes a true legacy is created by beating the strongest opponents available. If Teofimo is the one blocking his path to the top, then the fight must happen. In Shakur's view, stepping away from that challenge would only slow his progress toward becoming one of boxing greats.
My way. That's how I look at it. Like, same way he probably feel about me, I feel the same way about him. He's in my way. I'm chasing greatness.
But I wasn't in your way. You came up to my weight.
Yeah.
You didn't have nobody at 35.
That's true, but you the guy, bro. You the guy. You 4 kings. You been the guy for years.
But you the guy
years.
on the pound for pound.
I agree. I understand.
So how am I the guy if you on the pound for pound?
But you're the guy, bro. You know you the guy, bro.
I'm Theo. Yes.
Yeah. You been the guy since, bro. You the guy. But I'm just telling you.
But I don't.
You're in my way, bro.
I don't carry it that way.
But you're in my way.
The mentality is never going to be that way.
But you're in my way. But you're in my way. So I got to move you out my way. That's how I look at this.
Nope.
Ain't nobody taking food off my table. That's all I'm gonna say.
But I'll tell you this though, you bit more than you could chew.
That's cool. You can feel that way.
For sure.
But come fight night, you're gonna realize this is a lot different than being on the outside than being inside of there.
As they all say.
Roy Jones Jr. says Shakur Stevenson is very close to reaching greatness. He praises Shakur for his intelligence control and awareness inside the ring, but believes the last piece is footwork. Roy explains that better movement and positioning can take Shakur to another level. With sharper footwork, Shakur can win exchanges, more clearly create angles faster, and be very hard to hit clean. Roy points out that the best fighters separate themselves through small details. He feels Shakur already has the right mindset and skills, but refining his movement will give him even more control in fights. That improvement could turn tight moments into clear dominance and push Shakur from elite status to something truly special.
Stevenson is a very good fighter, but you got to learn, and I will hope he will pay attention to this because this is going to mean a lot for him. Mm-hmm. His feet are good, but sometimes they take him too far out of range to be able to come back and counter. Mm-hmm. The last guy he fought, the guy was a good puncher, so when he was jumping back, he was jumping too far back out of range to where he couldn't come back and get something right away. You know what I'm saying? And for the fans, it starts to look bored.
That's how I say. I feel like he was running.
He really ain't running. He just don't understand that this is somebody got to teach him. He a great fighter. He got great eyesight. He has great reaction time. He gonna be a great fighter. He just got to figure out how to use them feet a little different.
Is he the best defensive fighter out of all 4 of them?
Right now, defensive, yes, because his defense is with his feet. That's what people don't understand. Defense isn't with your hands, it's with your feet. And he has the best foot defense of the game. Mm-hmm. So if he uses it for defense, when it's strictly defense, yes. But when you want to make it offensive, you can't do this.
Shane Mosley says the result will come down to the styles both fighters choose on fight night. He believes power, speed, patience, and the ability to adjust will matter more than hype. Mosley explains that it is not about big names, but about who takes control first. The fighter who sets the style and controls the pace will be the one who controls the fight.
If Shakur Stevenson is going to get slower moving up in weight or not, where Teofimo can hit him. Maybe he was really fast at 130, 26-30, maybe 35, but 40, you put on a little bit more weight. Shakur Stevenson has a very strong style where he can sit back and pot shot you and box and stuff like that, where Teofimo can also box and is very athletic and can get from side to side and can make things difficult for you as well. So what style is going to impose on the other is what we want to see.
So which style will impose? Is it something where like the first rounds really will dictate, or?
I think you're going to need a couple of rounds, but the first round is going to be very interesting. Maybe you see some tails, but I think maybe 2 or 3 you're going to start seeing one leave the other. Because I don't think that, well, maybe, I mean, Shakur might show some different. If he has to go after Teofimo, he might show some different type of heart that we haven't seen, or different type of fighting we haven't seen, and vice versa. Whereas Teofimo's hitting him with different shots off the angle, that is kind of giving Shakur Stevenson trouble. We'll see about that.
Jermaine Ortiz, a professional boxer, shares his view on the Stevenson versus Lopez fight and says Shakur will not fight Wild again. He explains that in past fights, Shakur learned how important distance and timing are, and he will not make the same mistakes. Ortiz says Lopez can be dangerous at higher weights, but his style has answers. Shakur's strong defense, longer reach, and smooth movement in and out of range make him hard to hit clean. Ortiz believes Lopez may land some shots, but Shakur will stay smart, protect himself, and avoid taking damage. He feels the fight will mostly follow Shakur pace and style, with calm control and discipline forcing Lopez to adjust. Ortiz adds that Lopez is tricky, but Shakur's ability to adapt and his ring intelligence should give him the advantage for most of the fight.
Be a glimpse or two.
Why?
And one, Shakur said it himself after that fight that he wasn't going to fight like that again. And that's the main reason. He said he wasn't going to do it. And
Teo's cracking like that?
To 140, which is really... Huh?
Is Teo cracking?
No, I don't think. I think he had more of a threat with Zepeda as a puncher and Teofimo. But he's going up a weight class. That's not actually his weight class as well.
You think that'll play a factor?
No, that would play a factor in him not fighting the pocket how he did with Zepeda.
Got you.
That's what I'm saying.
So yeah, because of the style, you feel like he's gonna be in and out, moving around, making sure that
in and out,
doing things that Teo don't like.
He got longer arms. I think he'll just keep him. He'll keep him at bay. Teo's a tricky fighter too, so not saying that he can't, slip in and catch him with a couple shots. But Shakur, I think he's gonna be defensively sound. He doesn't like getting hit, and I think he's gonna stick to that.
As far as Shakur is concerned, and Teo, when you look at the speed, when you look at the timing, who do you feel like has that edge? When it comes down to that, it could be separate. It could be somebody got the speed.
The analysis points out that Teofimo Lopez, once dominant at 140 pounds, is still explosive and dangerous, especially in the early rounds where his athleticism and power create real threats. The fight is a clash of styles, with Lopez relying on raw power and aggression, while Shakur Stevenson uses superior boxing IQ, range, and control of distance. Shakur is seen as a slight favorite with a 60-40 edge, though Lopez can make it competitive if he pressures early and forces Shakur to engage. Lopez's main challenge is avoiding past mistakes like overextending or being predictable. If he can cut off the ring and turn it into a fight, it promises excitement. In the end, Shakur's intelligence and defense will test Lopez's ability to perform under pressure.
Teofimo hurt Shakur with one shot. Can you hurt him clean? He hasn't been a killer, as much of a killer at 140. And after Kambosos, he hasn't been the same, in my opinion. But he's still explosive and still dangerous in the first 7 rounds. You know what I'm saying? First 8 rounds. So I think it's a good fight. I like the fight, actually, because of that. Teofimo got the explosive punching power on his side and good athleticism. And Shakur has the, superior boxing IQ, good range, good distance. So it's great. It's good boxer versus good athlete at this point. So I like the fight. I don't say it's 50-50. I say it's 60-40 Shakur. But I like Teofimo's chances in this fight. You know what I'm saying? If Teofimo makes this a fight and comes out early and attacks and gets right up on Shakur, right, and attacks him and makes him fight, it's gonna be one of two things. Either you're gonna see what's his name, the Jesus, or what's his name, the guy that he fought. De La Santos. You're gonna see De La Santos part 2, and he just gonna get on his bicycle, which we don't want to see. or he's gonna have to fight. And and I think Teofimo is a guy that can make Shakur fight because he can cut off the ring well enough. You know what I'm saying? I think he can stay with him well enough where he could turn this into a fight, and it'll be exciting for him if he does. I think Shakur, like a lot of fights, he needs this name in order to silence a lot of the naysayers. Because people talk a lot of shit about Shakur, especially after the De Los Santos fight. I don't think, the Zabata fight took it off of him, even though they tried to make it seem like
That's a wrap for today's video. Stay tuned for what's coming next.